Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. This is the Minister M.L. Kimball coming to you live with an episode of Word on the Street Talk TV. Those of you that are joining us today, I do want to say to you, welcome. I do appreciate the support. Please like, share, comment, and don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Tonight, we're going to go over some of the clear-cut supporting evidence of what we are going to present with our case in Fulton County, the HCV Distribution Corporation versus State Farm Fire and Casualty Company. The reason that I decided that I was going to share each and every piece of this situation with the public is because I want to be able to assist somebody else that may be dealing with a situation like this. And not only that, I have a heart for protecting one's rights. I have one thing I feel like is that my ancestors fought, died, and bled so that I could have the opportunity to stand up and defend my rights when they are violated. Now, I've spent my entire life as a public servant, as a upstanding business owner, and within two communities of my life, Lucas County and Fulton County. I've spent my entire life staying out of the negative light of the law, staying out of trouble. I'm a public servant. I'm a notary. I've literally lived my entire life at 40 years old. I've never been in trouble with the law, and I have want to keep it that way. I'm not a person looking for trouble or looking for something to get involved in that's going to cause me trouble. I appreciate my life too much, and my family and my kids and especially my grandkids. And I have a responsibility as a grandparent to leave a legacy for them. So part of the reason that I'm not just going to sit back and let this one go is because this legacy was robbed from me and my family, and we have clear-cut evidence of these violations, and we are not going to stop until State Farm is held accountable. So the reality of it is, I decided that every step of the way of this complaint, I was going to share it with the public free of charge, because I want to share with you things that you can do if you are in the same or similar situation. These insurance companies are not here to be your friend. They're here to figure out how to keep their expenses small and their payouts even smaller. So the reality of it is, that's why you see so many people that go through situations with insurance companies. However, not many people deal with racial discrimination such as I have been dealing with over the past 2 years. I mean, some of the things that even State Farm published about me, 1000% a jury would look at and say, what in God's green earth are you writing that a person showed up with a loud tie and was very braggadocious and had on excessive jewelry and a blue suit? I mean, what kind of a picture were you trying to paint as you were determining a corporate insurance policy? So that's a separate issue. But tonight, what I want to deal with is exactly where the privacy was violated. And I want to share with you guys, we're going to look at the law. I'm going to share with you guys their attorney's response, and just so you can see what we have experienced over the past year trying to close this matter without involving the courts. The representation for State Farm just attempts to justify this violation when we can clearly, you don't have to have a law degree to understand what the Constitution entails and what it says. And the reality of it is, you cannot let somebody that has a law degree think that they can push you around because they think that they know more. When you're looking at the law and you can clearly see the violation that as it pertains to you, Who are you supposed to speak to? Who are you supposed to talk to? You're telling me in the same state where I took an oath that I would uphold the United States Constitution as well as the Ohio Constitution, state of Ohio Constitution. And I know that the insurance companies take that same oath. Well, at the same time, our rights were violated, and they literally have disregarded that oath because we have the clear-cut evidence, and this is what we're going to share with you tonight. So the first thing I would like to share with you, let me get it up on the screen here, is I'm going to share with you something that, you know, we're going to look at. First of all, we're going to start here. We're going to start with the Ohio law because, again, I don't want this to be just some type of a study for you without giving you some type of information that you need to retain. Get yourself a pen, get your notepad out because this is free information and it may save you from having to call an attorney one day if you end up going through a situation such as this situation. So the reality of it is this is the Ohio law that talks about the privacy and policies concerning your private information dealing with insurance companies. So we're going to just start with the law. That way we can all start on the same page, and then you guys can tell me, like I'm a 2-year-old, am I reading something wrong here? Or if I'm not reading something wrong, then you can understand the very first violation that we're going to present to the court, and we're going to be able to prove this violation very easily. You don't have to be an attorney to understand this. So let's read this together. Excuse me, I had to get me some water there. In Ohio, the law that addresses the confidentiality of insurance information and prohibits insurance companies from disclosing claims decisions or determinations to unauthorized parties without consent is primarily found in Ohio Revised Code Section 3901.21. This section outlines the obligation of insurers regarding the handling of personal and confidential information. Very simply explained here. Key provisions of Ohio Revised Code Section 3901.21. Confidentiality requirements. The statute mandates that insurance companies must maintain the confidentiality of personal information obtained in connection with an insurance transaction. This includes claims decisions and other sensitive data. Insurers are prohibited from disclosing any personal or privileged information to third parties unless they have obtained explicit consent from the policyholder or claimant. This means that any sharing of claims-related information must be authorized by the individual whose information is being shared. Unauthorized disclosure. The law specifies that unauthorized disclosure of such information can lead to legal repercussions for the insurance company involved. So this is what explains the legal repercussions that we have initiated versus State Farm. We haven't even got to the actual evidence that's going to show you guys clearly where they violated our rights. But the reality of it is, this is what has led us to this point. Not only for an entire year, we've went back and forth with their attorney. And this entire year, their attorney has done nothing but ignored this violation and justified this violation. And now we have to go to the courts and prove our case once again because these guys want to play the okie doke, and we're just not going to do it. Once again, this is what has caused and started this legal battle because they willfully unlawfully disclosed information to an unauthorized party, and they did it under oath. We're going to go over the evidence. You guys are going to be blown away. It's ridiculous. And you mean to tell me I present this to every state department and nobody sees the seriousness of the violation? No, we're just going to have to go to the court and say, hey, jury of our peers, take a look at this and tell me if I just fell off this short yellow bus. Because the reality of it is they violated our rights, and we haven't even got there yet. Now let's talk about the penalties for these violations. The penalties imposed for violations of these confidentiality provisions can vary based on the nature and severity of the breach. Administrative penalties. The Ohio Department of Insurance has the authority to impose administrative fines on insurers who violate these confidentiality requirements. These fines can be substantial depending on the specifics of each case. Civil liability. In addition to administrative penalties, individuals whose information has been improperly disclosed may have grounds for civil lawsuits against the insurer for damages resulting from such breaches. I want you to see that again, number 2, and understand why this is now went to the level of us proceeding with court action. Because they did not treat this claim as a corporate insurance claim. And from day one, we have been a corporate entity registered with the state of Ohio in good standings since 2019. Now, our standings are not that great today. You can thank State Farm for that, because we had an organization that was generating over $100,000 in sales in just the little 8 months that we were open, and we can show this on documentation. We have the evidence of it. And so the reality of it is they robbed us of a complete business that we built from ground up. And now they're trying to wiggle out of this, and we're just not going to do it. The third one is a big one. License revocate. They can get your license revoked or suspension. Repeated violations or severe breaches may also result in more serious consequences, including revocation or suspension of an insurer's license to operate within Ohio. Criminal charges. In extreme cases, particularly where there is evidence of malicious intent or gross negligence, criminal charges could potentially be pursued against individuals responsible for unauthorized disclosures. In summary, Ohio Revised Code Section 390121 establishes strict guidelines regarding the confidentiality of insurance-related information and outlines significant penalties for non-compliance by insurers. Now, that's the first thing I wanted to show you guys. Now, the second thing we're going to take a look at is, where did State Farm violate this? Now, we don't have to read the whole thing. We can just get right down to question number 7. Please admit or deny that you, Deborah McSorley, were given notice that on or about August 16th, 2022, claim number 35-29N7-27R had been denied. Answer under oath. Admit, I contacted State Farm's corporate office and they advised me that I was not a named insured and that the claim had been denied. Deborah McSorley was not authorized by anybody from our corporation to discuss, document, identify, or do anything concerning the HCV Distribution Corporation with State Farm. Her under oath answer is that she talked to not the agent, not the attorney. She talked to State Farm's corporate office. And they advised her she was not a named insured and that the claim had been denied. So what do you think if we subpoenaed Deborah McSorley to have a response to what she said here on the stand in court? I want you to really think about that nice and slow, because the reality of it is she admitted under oath right here that State Farm Corporate told her that our corporate claim was denied. Now, I understand she knew this before any of our corporate officers knew. We had been waiting over 250, longer than that, almost 325 days waiting for State Farm to make a determination on our claim. They kept asking for the same questions or the same materials over and over and over again. We provided thousands of documents early on, to the point where they even said at one point that they could not keep up with the documents. Some of them may not have gotten into the file. They hired a supposed forensic accountant who clearly stated that he did not even understand our accounting system, which was Square at the time, which I don't understand. If you can't understand our accounting system, then how is your testimony of my personal finances even credible? And my personal finances had nothing to do with the corporation. I've explained to you all before what a corporation legally means. And a corporation is a separate entity that stands alone by itself. So that means that if you're doing any type of investigations on anything, you should have been asking questions about our corporation, not Marquise Kimball. However, they based the entire denial of our insurance on my personal information, meanwhile committing all of these violations of our rights, and nobody cares and nobody says anything. Nobody says anything about this clear violation right here. Deborah McSorley was the lien holder of the property. We purchased the property on recorded land contract. So don't give me the old okie doke that she had the right to be able to find out information that we couldn't even find out. It's the number one violation that everybody at State Farm wants to skate by, including their attorney. And so now we're going to have to make their attorney explain this to the court. How are you telling? Well, let me stop playing games and get you guys right to the attorney's response, because that's the next thing. You guys have to see that. What tells you guys what really, why we're dealing with this type of a thing here, because somehow, some way, the attorney just kind of skates past this. And I want to read this to you guys so that way you guys can actually see it with your own eyes here. Now, let's just look at what the attorney said here. Now, I read to you guys, we went through the law together. We went through the actual law. We just cruised through and looked at the violations of the law. Now let's look at their attorney's response and how she justifies it. We looked at the law. We looked at the under oath admission. We looked at the evidence. Now look at the response and the amount of arguing that we have had to experience with State Farm's attorney over the past entire year. She even threatened us with criminal charges for wondering why haven't you responded to us? Because you told us that we could not call your office. You do not want any calls from us. Everything you want from us is in writing. You tell your office that you don't want to take any calls from us, but then you determine when you want to respond to us. It's ridiculous how their attorney treated us this entire year, but that's for another episode. I want you to see the clear violation, the clear disregard to the rights that were violated and the law that was broke here. Look at the attorney's response. Mr. Kimball, please accept the following in response to your recent correspondence and in supplement to State Farm's prior communications on April 17th, 2024, June 10th, 2024, June 20th, 2024. You see how much we followed up with these people? June 28th, 2024, July 11th, 2024, August 5th, 2024, and August 19th, 2024. So you can see the persistence of what we have attempted to solve this matter over the past year. And the only reason she's mentioning this many responses is because she allowed that many times for us to message her before she finally responded. She says, you note in several of your emails that you have not yet received a response from my office. Why do we note that? Because we have a trail of evidence of proving how many weeks upon weeks she just would ignore us. So the reality is, she says, addressing your complaints. However, you have both responded to and copied me on emails in which you address the above referenced responses that you have received from me. While you may not agree with the responses, your statement that you have not received responses is inaccurate. Just listen, pay attention. As previously explained, your contention that State Farm disclosed personal claim information to an unauthorized third party is also incorrect. Ms. McSorley was the trustee of the McSorley Trust, owner of the property at issue. The land contract you entered into with her as trustee did not transfer to your ownership of the property. Let's stop right there. Now, we just read the law together. I need somebody to explain to me, where in the law did it say that the insurance company has the right to disclose any information to the owner or the trustee? Clearly, it was talking in the law about the policy holder, which is HCV Distribution Corporation. So once again, the blatant ignoring of this and disregard of this has now, pushed us to now we are asking the court and we're going to file legal action because this is ridiculous. Now, like I said, you don't have to be an attorney to just look at the simple piece of the law that we just went over tonight like we were 2-year-olds. I just broke down the section of the law. We just read it together. I then showed you exactly where the law was violated. I then showed you the under oath response that was done, sworn under oath, where the person that was responsible for robbing our African-American owned business in Swanton, Ohio, the HCV store, on camera doing this. I mean, we've got evidence. She hired unauthorized auctions and sold our property all under the eye of the Swanton Police Department. All of this happened. And so we're supposed to just let this go. She said under oath that State Farm Corporate told her that our claim was denied. A complete violation of our rights and the law. And so if State Farm wants to continue to make this argument with us, well, then we're preparing for trial. We've already submitted this piece of information to the court as evidence to be included on record. That's why I came out to the public with this evidence, because we've already submitted this evidence to both their attorney and the court. And we are going to hold State Farm accountable for this to the highest extent of the law. They're not going to get away with this. This isn't the whole pulling. If someone said some smart comment earlier about pulling the black card earlier, you might say that about pieces of this case because you don't know the entire story. And if you're not black, then you don't understand what we go through. So don't tell me what you think because you were not made to, an image drawn on you while they were determining your insurance claim, especially when it was a corporate claim. I didn't even get into that tonight. So tonight we dealt with strictly the clear-cut evidence that State Farm Fire and Casualty Company violated our rights and privacy, and then their attorney has done nothing but justified it over the last year, ignoring this serious violation of our rights. So I shared this with you guys tonight. Again, it's public knowledge because we have submitted it to the court to be included as evidence, because the reality of it is they're not going to get away with this. Put Deborah McSorley on the stand. I don't care. At this point, I don't give a damn. Whatever has to happen to hold these people accountable for what they did. We're not just going to lay down and let this go away. You guys robbed my entire life from me and stole my grandchildren's legacy because you want to play games as our former insurance company. And why you did this, you violated our rights numerous times. And we're just not going to let it go. So I wanted to bring this to you guys again so you can use this as an educational moment. So if you are ever in a situation similar to this, this might ring a bell in your own mind. Don't ever let the insurance company share your personal information with anybody that is not listed on your policy. That's law 101. Don't ever let them do it. And if they've done it, then that is a violation of the law and your privacy. They breached your privacy. We literally had to report them to the state of Ohio, and the state of Ohio said that they were referring our former agent to another department for further investigation. This guy was talking to Deborah McSorley and her sister and her brother, all of these different people. None of them were ever authorized on our company policy or any of our company anything. And he admits it under oath as well. We didn't even get into that tonight. This is just strictly dealing with the corporate section of State Farm. But we can go down the line and look at the under oath statement from Jeff Lambert, our agent, former agent, who admitted that he was talking to Deborah McSorley, talking to her sister, talking to her brother, wanting to know if the building's for sale. Now, what agent in America calls up and asks about a building that's not listed for sale? Come on, man. And we're supposed to let that go? No. You disclosed our personal information. You prepared this lady so she could get into that building and lock the doors on us, sell our stuff unlawfully, and get away with it. And while this happened, we were still under policy with State Farm. This was in broad daylight, apparently, right around the corner from the Swanton Police Department. McNeil's calling, acting like they're the Swanton Police. All of this is a suspect to me. And at the end of the day, we want to hold whoever is responsible accountable out there. It doesn't matter who it is at this point. We're going to go to court. We're going to defend our rights. Somebody knows something. And we're not going to just let this one go. Then you falsely accuse me and put it on me. And like the police were not an hour late showing up to the store. Our store alarms told the police at 6:32 in the morning that we were located 0.2 miles from the police station. They get told at 6:32 and they don't show up until almost an hour later. And then we print off the route according to what they stated in their police report. And so we printed off the MapQuest route. And clearly, according to what they stated in their own report, they purposely went the wrong direction away from our building and did not show up until over an hour later. State Farm investigated our corporation, focusing on just me, literally 5 days after the hate crime incident. You want to talk to me about discrimination? Their entire situation over the past 2 years has been ridiculous. Publishing that I was braggadocious and showed up with a blue suit on with a loud tie and excessive jewelry, painting these different pictures of what they wanted to say as to why they were going to deny the claim. They couldn't find a reason, so then they came up with the falsity that I had something to do with it, with no evidence, and published this information and defamed my character, professional name, and career. Literally defamed it with no evidence of this information whatsoever. And if I had anything to do with it, then how in the hell would I know that the police were going to be an hour late? Let's stop playing games with each other. This is what we intend to present to the court. State Farm is involved in a serious situation with our corporation. Are we alleged bad faith practices, breach of contract, racial discrimination, defamation of character, privacy violations? And we have the evidence to support it. I'm the Minister M.L. Kimball. It's been my pleasure. Please like, share, comment. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you decide that you'd like to support our platform, you can do so by using our cash tag at DonateKNSMIN. Until next time, be blessed on purpose.